Hello, this is CA2 Practice Paper 2 Science Section A. First question: which part of the cells can be found in both animals and plant cells? First of all, nucleus can be found in both animal and plant cell, so there's a tick to it. Cell wall can only be found in plant cell. You cannot find a cell wall in an animal cell, so we have a cross for it. Cytoplasm can be found in both animal and plant cell, so tick. Chloroplast is used to make food in the presence of sunlight, and only plants can do that, so you cannot find it in the animal cell. Lastly, cell membrane controls things moving in and out of the cell, and all cells have it. So with that, you have option A, C, and E, and your answer for question 1 is actually answer is 2. Let's move on to question 2. An organism has the following characteristics. It's made out of one cell, which means it's unicellular. It does not contain chloroplast and does not reproduce by budding. So which of the following could the organism be? Okay, so look at the first one. First one, algae, is actually a type of plant. They do contain chloroplast. Chloroplast is green in color, so we cancel it out. And for yeast, it's actually yeast cell reproduced by budding, so we also have to cross it out. Mosses are actually green in color. Plants too, they contain chloroplast, and so our final answer left us with only option 4, paramecium. So question 2 answer is 4. Okay, we move to question 3. The diagram shows two types of cell. So we have cell A, cell B. Cell A is actually a plant cell, while cell B without a cell wall is an animal cell. So based on the diagrams, which statement are true? Okay, the first statement, cell A has a cell wall but cell B do not have, is true, so the answer is correct. Statement 2, cell B has chloroplast but not cell A. We already know that cell B is actually an animal cell, and animal cells do not have chloroplast, so this statement is not true. Statement C, both cell A and cell B have a nucleus each. That is true, this is the nucleus and this is the nucleus here. And lastly, both our animal cells are there as they are irregular in shape, and that is not true. So we have only option A and option C, giving us our answers to question 3. Answer is 1. Now we move to question 4. Okay, so we have a plant cell here, and then let's look at the following parts. Okay, part A is actually chloroplast. Part B is actually the cell wall. Part D is actually the cell membrane. It controls things coming in and out. Part E is cytoplasm. This is where all the cell activities actually happens. And part F is the nucleus, whereby it controls and give the plants its characteristic. So looking at the option, which controls the movement of substances in and out of cell. This has to be the function of a cell membrane. So cell membrane option will be actually D. So we only have these two left, so we can cross out option 1, option 2. Given the plant's characteristics can only be a nucleus, so your answer is only F here, so you can cross out the third option. So question 4, our answer has to be 4. Okay, we move to question 5. The diagram below shows a cluster of fungi. Okay, so you see spores and spore bags. Which of the following statements about the reproduction of fungi are true? Okay, the spores can be dispersed by winds. Okay, that's true, because the spores are actually very small and they're actually very light, so they actually disperse by wind dispersal methods. Spores will only germinate when there's air, warmth, and water. That is also true, because we have to remember that germination, okay, occurs when there is air, water, and warmth. Alright, okay. And for reproduction to take place, spores need to land on the spore bags. Okay, this is not true. Okay, this is not true. Okay, why? Because spore bags is a place where spores are stored. Okay, so spores are stored here. Okay, In spores reproducing fungi, fertilization takes place before the spores leave the plant. That's also not true. The spores need to leave the plant before fertilization can take place, which means we only have option A and option B. So question 5, our answer is actually 1. Okay, let's move on to question 6. The diagram below shows the cross-section of 4 different flowers. Which of the flowers will be able to develop into a fruit? Okay, we must always remember that for a flower to become a fruit, okay, there must always have an ovary. Okay, it's the ovary that becomes the fruit. So you're looking at A, B, C, D. You'll see that only flower A and flower C has the ovary, and only flower A and C can become a fruit. So answer is A and C. So answer is 1. Question 6. Your answer is 1. Okay, we move on to question 7. The diagram below shows two areas, X and Y. They were actually divided by the river. 3 types of plants were found on X. Features of their fruits were shown in the table below. So fruit A, it is heavy with a fibrous husk. So most likely fruit A will actually be dispersed by water, dispersal methods. Fruit B is light with wind-like structure, so obviously this will be dispersed by wind. And the last one is dry and split open. This is by explosive action. Okay, so some years later, plants from X were found on Y. What would these plants actually be? Okay, so the plants actually have to travel across the river to get to Y. So when they travel along, let's say talk about fruit A, okay, they travel along the river, they can actually reach the banks of the rivers of Y, so which means A is possible. B, it can actually fly across through the wind. Okay, so actually we can find B there also, so it's possible. C, we can't do that because C, what happens is it's explosive action. You will only land around the area of X, which means only option A and B you can find. So answer for question 7 is actually answer is 2. We move on to question 8. Which of the following statements about plants are false? All plants can develop fruit. That is not true. Our ferns, for example, they do not have they don't develop fruits. Plants need mineral nutrients to make food. That's also not true. Excess food made by plants is stored in plant parts like fruits, roots, stems, and flowers. This is true, for example, like potatoes and everything. So this is correct. Besides supporting the plant, plant stems also carry food, water, sunlight, and mineral salts. Okay, stems, you have your water carrying tube and your food carrying tube, and they only carry water and food, but they do not carry sunlight. So this is not true also. So for question 8, our answer has to be A, B, and D because we're looking at 4 statements. So answer A, B, D. Only option 3. So question 8, our answer is 3. Okay, now we move to question 9. The diagram shows 2 types of root system, roots X and roots Y. In what ways does roots Y help the plants more than roots X? Okay, let's look at this. Okay, Y can absorb more water for the plant. Okay, this is true because they actually have more roots hair compared to X for Y. Okay, so roots hair actually helps to absorb more water, so that's true. Okay, B, they can help the plant to trap more sunlight. Okay, this is not true. Okay, trapping of sunlight, the function actually leads to the leaves. Okay, the roots, the function is mainly to help it stay firmly in the ground and absorb water and mineral salts. Okay, C, they can hold the plant more firmly to the ground. Okay, that is true. Why? Because root X roots are more spread out and they have a bigger surface area, so it holds the plant more firmly to the ground. And D, they can transport more food to the other parts of the plant. Okay, this is also not true. Transporting of more food to the other parts of plant, this actually falls to your stem, which is your food carrying tube. Okay, and it's not the roots function. So answer is A and C. Answer for question 9 is actually option 2. Alright, we move to question 10. Observe the plants shown in the diagram carefully. Which of the following statement describe the plant correctly? Okay, so it's a true statement. This is a shrub. Okay, no, shrub is actually plants grow on the ground together. It has a trunk. No, you can see that the plants actually have very big stem. It has a palm-shaped leaves. Okay, that's true. It has leaves with entire edges. Okay, that's true. It has flowers that grow in cluster. That's not true. If you see carefully, the flower has only one flower, so it's actually growing singly, not in a cluster. So with that, we have only C and D. C and D. So for question 10, our answer is actually option 2. Okay, we move on to question 11. Which of the following statements are true about reproduction in humans? Only one sperm can fertilize an egg. That is true. It usually takes about 9 months for baby to be born after the fertilization. That is true. Okay, this period of 9 months, okay, is also known as gestation. Okay, so you need to know this word as well. Okay, humans reproduce through asexual reproduction. Okay, this is not true. Asexual meaning you only need a single cell. Okay, or maybe only the male or only the female. That's not true. In humans, you need both the female and the male. So only option A and option B is true. So question 11, A and B, answer is 1. Okay, now we move to question 12. The diagram below shows a developing baby in a mother's womb. There's a cord X on the baby. Okay, so which of the following statement about cord X are correct? Okay, first of all, the fertilization takes place in cord X. Okay, this is not true. Okay, fertilization of a human being actually happens in the fallopian tube. Alright, fallopian tube. Okay, in short, it will look something like this. Okay, so this is actually the ovaries. This is actually the womb. So fertilization will actually takes place at this area marked in red color. Here, the fallopian tube. Alright, next. It connects the developing baby to the mother. Okay, that's what cord X is doing. It carries food and oxygen from the mother to the developing baby. That's also true. Waste from the developing baby is passed out through cord X. That is also true. So our B, C, and D are correct. So question 12, our answer is actually option 4. Okay, now we move to question 13. Study the diagram of the female reproductive organ shown below. Okay, so as I mentioned just now earlier, this is actually the fallopian tube. Okay, so this fallopian tube is now actually cut into half, and they are tied up. Alright, so Mr. and Mrs. Tam wanted to stop producing children after having 3 kids. Mrs. Tam underwent a medical procedure to have a fallopian tube cut and tied. Based on the medical procedure that was being carried out, which of the following statements are true? Okay, so remember, we only want the true statements. The procedure will ensure that fertilization will not take place at all. Okay, this is true. Why? Okay, because this part, okay, here is the ovary. This is the ovary. Okay, this is a place where all the eggs are kept. So normally the ovary will actually travels this path to here, which is this area here is actually the womb. Alright, and this is where the baby will actually develop and everything. By cutting away the fallopian tube in between here, the egg could not be transported to meet the sperm at all. Alright, okay. The procedure will ensure no eggs will be released from the ovary. Okay, this is not true. Ovaries will still be released. Eggs will still be released from the ovaries. Just that the ovaries, the eggs from here, they could not travel through the fallopian tube. Okay, the procedure will ensure that no sperms will be able to enter the vagina. This is also not true. The vagina hole is here. Sperms can still enter through this hole. The procedure will ensure that sperms will move very much slower and hence will die off before fusing with egg. Okay, this is definitely not true because this medical procedure, okay, is actually taken place on Mrs. Tam. So it has no effect on Mr. Tam at all. So it has no effects on sperms at all. Okay, so your answer for question 13 is only answer is 1. Okay, question 13, your answer is 1. Okay, now we move to question 14. Study the setup below. Which bulb will still light up when bulb X fuses? So bulb X fuses, so electric current cannot flow through there. So let's take a look. Okay, electricity will flow. You pass through W, pass through Y, pass through Z, and then it comes back here to make a closed circuit. Okay, so in the event, it will light up W, Y, Z, and V. So answer for question 14, which bulb will still light up will be answer 14, option is 4. Okay, now we move to question 15. The chart below shows how materials W, X, Y, Z can be classified. Which material is most suitable for making part B? Okay, first of all we identify that part B, this is actually the filament. Okay, this is the part that is made out of tungsten. Alright, and this is the part where actually light is given off. Okay, so first of all, does it have a high melting point? Definitely it must have a high melting point, if not it will melt easily. Does it give off light when electricity passes through it? It must be, if not it will not be the purpose of it. It must make the bulb glow. So my answer has to be, answer is Y. So question 15, answer must be 3. Okay, that's the correct answer. Okay, now we move to question 16. The circuit below consists of a dry cell, 2 switches, and 2 light bulbs. So dry cell is actually our battery. Alright, so we have 2 switches and 2 bulbs. Okay, which of the following statements about the circuit are true? Okay, if we notice carefully, switch 1 is closed, but switch 2 is actually open. So both bulbs will not light up because electricity could not pass through it since there is a gap. It is an open, there is an open circuit. So this is true. An electric current will flow through S1. Okay, not true because there's a gap here, it's an open circuit. So this is also this is not true. One of the bulbs will light up as one of the switches is closed. This is not true. There's an open circuit. The circuit is not considered an open as one of the switches is still closed. This is wrong. As long as there is a gap, okay, as long as there's even one gap, it is an open circuit. So our answer, it will be only A only. So question 16, answer must be 1. Okay, now we move to question 17. Study the circuit diagram shown below. Which of the bulbs will light up if we close switch 1 and switch 3? So first of all, let's identify switch 1. So switch 1 is here. It is closed, and switch 3 is closed. Alright, and now we will start moving. Okay, electricity will pass through here. Alright, and it will pass through here. It will pass through here, and then finally it will come back here. Okay, the reason why it cannot light up bulb 4 is because there's an open circuit here. There's a switch open here. So which bulb will light up if you close switch and read? If you see, your answer will have bulb 1, bulb 2, bulb 3. So our answer for question 17 is actually 3. Now we look at question 18. Mr. Lim shared some energy saving tips when using the refrigerator with his pupils. Which of the following is not an effective energy saving practice? Not overloading the refrigerator with more food and drinks. Okay, this is actually an effective energy saving practice. You load it with a lot of food and drinks. The fridge actually has to use more energy to keep a consistent cool temperature, you see. Okay, putting very hot food into the refrigerator straight after it's cooked. Okay, this is definitely not an effective energy saving practice, because when we put very hot food into the fridge, what happens is the fridge need to use more energy to come up with more cold air to actually bring down the temperature of the food. So very obviously answer for question 18 is 2. Let's just we move on to question 19 now. The diagram below shows 4 circuits with different arrangement of identical bulbs and batteries. The bulbs in all 4 circuits actually light up. Which of Okay, so we look at the first circuit. We see that this is actually 1 bulb to 1 battery. Okay, And then if we look at this, we see that 2 batteries for 2 bulbs. We look at R, 2 batteries for 1 bulb, and the last one battery for 2 bulbs. So judging from the circuit arrangement, you know that S has to be the lowest because there's only 1 battery and it has to service 2 bulbs. And the highest one would actually be R because 2 batteries servicing 1 bulb. Okay, so our answer will be actually 4. Question 19, answer is 4. Okay, now we move to question 20. The diagram shows a circuit card. The wires connecting M, N, O, P, Q, and R are hidden from the view. Andrew tested the circuit with a circuit tester. He found that the following pair of clips, MP, PN, and PR, caused the bulb in the circuit tester to light up. Which of the following represent the correct circuit card? Okay, so remember our rule, okay, that we must use our 2 fingers. Okay, it looks like that. Okay, so if we connect the first circuit, M and P, for this one, okay, it works, correct? P and N, okay, if we using our fingers to connect P and N, you realize that there's actually a gap, okay, and it won't be a closed circuit. So option 1 is actually crossed out. Okay, let's move to option 2. Option 2, using our 2 fingers again, we connect and we realize that M and P actually works. But same thing, if you put P and N again, it doesn't work. So option 2 is out. Okay, so we look at option 3 now. M and P, yes, it works. P and N, yes, it works. And P and R, however, there will be a gap here, in between here, so it doesn't work as well. So now that's left with the last option, option 4. Let's try it out. M and P, okay, it works. P and N, yes, there's a closed circuit. And lastly, P and R, there's also a closed circuit. So question 20, obviously the answer is 4. Okay, we now move on to question 21. When water boils, we will see a white cloud. The white cloud is actually made of, okay, remember, okay, you actually get to see it, so it can't be a gas, because gas you cannot see it. So from here it must be water droplets. It's in the liquid form, that's why we could see it. So question 21 answer is 4. Okay, we move on to question 22 now. Which of the following does not involve condensation? Okay, maybe here we're going to stop a while. We have our solid, our liquid, our gas. Alright, and then we have arrows like this. Alright, and if you remember, solid to liquid is actually melting. Liquid to gas is actually boiling or evaporation. Okay, and then you have arrows at the bottom like this again. Alright, gas to liquid, this is condensation. So your spectacles fogging after walking out of a cold place, definitely this must be condensation. Okay, the formation of clouds, yes. The water vapor, they actually rises to the sky and then they condense to form clouds. Drying your hair with a hair dryer, no. So answer is A and B. Does not involve condensation. So the answer is only C. C does not. So answer for question 22 is actually 2. Okay, question 22 answer is 2. Question 23. Which of the following best shows water conservation in action? Okay, if you leave a leaky tap unattended, no, you have more water will be wasted. Washing vegetable with the tap on, also waste of water. Okay, brushing teeth with a mug of water, you will only use 1 mug of water, that's water conservation. Watering plants with a watering hose, no. So your answer for question 23 is 3. Okay, we move on now to question 24. Water is needed by our body to digest and absorb food. In which part of the digestive system is water removed from the undigested food? Okay, for this question, answer must be large intestine, because only the large intestine will remove water. Okay, the mouth will actually help you to chew, the stomach actually digest, the small intestine will actually help you to digest and absorb the food as well. So answer is only 4, large intestine. Always remember, water remove has to link with large intestine. Okay, we move to question 25 now. Okay, Mrs. William washed 4 similar handkerchiefs, P, Q, R, S, and she hung them out to dry as shown below. P and R were hung in the same manner, while Q and S were folded into half and hung in the same manner with the same amount of exposed surface. After 2 hours, she noticed that some of the handkerchiefs felt drier than the others. Arrange the towel from the wettest to the driest. Okay, before we go on for this question, okay, you must know that exposed surface area, okay, of the handkerchief, the bigger it is, the faster it actually dries up. And you also need to know about the temperature. Okay, the hotter the temperature, the faster it actually dries up. So if you look carefully, this has the smallest area and is actually under shelter, so it has the lowest temperature, so Q will be the wettest. Alright, after that, followed by P, because it's in the house, the temperature is lower, so it's actually P. Okay, and then we move on to S because it has a smaller surface area compared to R. Okay, so finally our answer is QPSR, which is option 1. So question 25, our answer is actually option 1. Okay, now we move on to question 26. Johan filled 3 beakers with an equal amount of water and placed them in a science lab. The water in the 3 beakers was of different temperature. Minutes later, he observed more water droplets forming on C than B. There was no water droplets forming on A. Which statement best explains his observation? Okay, we notice that C has the highest amount of water droplets, followed by B, followed by A. Okay, when we put a beaker of water in a lab, okay, it is actually under room temperature. Alright, so if the beaker of water is below room temperature, alright, condensation will take place because it's colder. So the warmer surface, warmer surrounding air comes into contact with the surface of the beaker and will condense on it to form water droplets. So which statement best explains the observation? Water in beaker A is cold. That's not true. Most probably water in beaker A is the hottest. It's even higher than the room temperature. Water in beaker C is the coldest. This must be the truth because there's the most water droplets condensing on it. Water in B and C is warmer than the water in A. That's not true. I just mentioned that A has a higher temperature than B and C. Water in B and C lose heat, with water in B losing more heat than C. Okay, this is not true. If B loses more heat, it actually condenses more. So 26, our answer is 2. Okay, let's move on to question 27. The table below shows the melting point and boiling substance of A, B, C, D. At which temperature are the 4 substances in the same state? Okay, so look at this question. Okay, at 35 degrees, let's get 35 degrees first. Okay, 35 degrees, substance A will be liquid. Okay, substance B, 35 is actually below 39, and that makes it a gas. Okay, so option 1 is already out. Okay, let's look at option 2 at 58 degrees. 58 degrees in between the range, so substance A is still a liquid. 58 degrees, substance B will also be a liquid. 58 degrees, substance C will still be a liquid. But at for substance D, it's below the melting point, so that will actually make it a gas, which means option 2 is also out. Okay, let's look at 64 degrees. 64 degrees for substance A will be a liquid. Okay, this is 65, that's 64, still in between. Substance B, okay, is in between, so it's a liquid. Substance C, 64, also a liquid. And lastly, substance D is still a liquid. So at 64 degrees, all the 4 substances are in the same state of the liquid state. So question 27, answer is 3. Okay, now we go to question 28. We have to actually table shows how matter can be grouped. Okay, so look at matter. What is matter first? Okay, maybe I'll add in the definition for you. Matter Okay, matter is anything that has mass and occupies space, which means that things such as air, water, solid, they are all matter. So look at A. Matter, this has no definite volume, so this one must actually be a gas. Alright, has a definite volume, okay, has no definite shape, so this must be liquid, and has a definite shape, this must be solid. Okay, so which one correctly matches A, B, C at room temperature? Okay, so your A, you have to actually be a gas, so this is only true for these two. Okay, for B, it has to be a liquid. Cough syrup is a liquid, green bean is actually a solid, and lastly, salt must be a solid. So question 28, your answer must be 4 only. Okay, now we move on to question 29. 5 materials are classified using the flow chart. Which material is suitable for making boots for firemen? Okay, boots for firemen, so let's take a look. It must not be a good conductor of heat because it's supposed to actually help the fireman. If it's a good conductor of heat during fire situation, it actually makes the fireman legs feel very hot, so no. It must be waterproof. Why? Because when they save fire, they actually have to be waterproof because they are using water all the time. Does it have a high melting point? Yes, because when they go into those fire situation, temperature are very high, fires are raging and boiling. So your answer for question 29 must be C. Okay, so answer 29, answer is option is 2. Okay, we move on to question 30, our last question. Alfred set up the following experiment. He has A, B, C, D, 4 fabric stripe, and then dip into a container of colored water, and then 4 stripes made of different fabric will hang from a stand with their tip touching the colored water at the same time. This shows the 4 stripes after 2 hours arranged from the least absorbent to the most absorbent. Okay, the word absorbent means ability to absorb liquid. Okay, so we have to start from the driest, okay, to the wettest. Alright, and obviously you see from here that B is the driest, followed by C, D, A. So using this arrangement, there's only one option. So question 30, our answer is actually 3. Okay, this is the end of CA2 practice paper 2 paper 1. Thank you.